I saw Hanley as someone with a divine purpose in life that found a mission and left everything else that we seem to get consumed by behind.
As you approach the garbage dump and you go through the cemetery, and then parking, getting out and walking down, and the heat coming up, the smell coming up, the flies, and then seeing it all is like, wow.
I've been involved with Safe Passage more or less since 2007.
It started when our daughter, Lindsay, decided she wanted to go on the high school trip.
Since my senior year of high school, so 4 to 5 years.
And I just got involved May of 2018.
Since about 2001, so 17 years, I think.
Our first trip was in June 2005. We've been involved a year before that.
Since, I would say, the beginning of 2004.
Yes, I guess like since 2013, 14, somewhere in there. It's about 15 years, 16 years.
Hanley Denning came to our church and put on a presentation.
A friend of ours, Chip Griffin, told us about it.
I was down in Guatemala. I was freelancing articles. I thought, well, this person, Hanley Denning, sounds pretty interesting. I'll just spend a day with her and see if I can do something with the material. I was so taken by what I saw that I signed up to sponsor a child.
Hanley used to come by when she was in Maine to check in with the churches, tell them about her work and the project she was involved in, and looking for support, emotional support as well as financial support.
Once I met Hanley and went to Guatemala, that was the beginning of a history of being involved. My Starburst High School youth group that I'm the leader of, that we've gone twice.
In 2005 we wrote the first check for the nursery school, and it was completed and due to be, well, it was inaugurated in January of 2007. Of course, it turned out to be about 2 weeks after her death.
She was just so optimistic and so congenial, you know, and that was just a wonderful, wonderful characteristic of hers. And I think that's why she made people want to believe in her vision.
She's funny, she is very sincere and really, really hardworking. She had a great laugh.
Now, when Hanley wanted to do something, she was very persistent, and she had a way where you just couldn't say no to her. She would say, why can't we do that? And it was, well, you just can't, you know, and she would not let go.
There was a certain effervescence about her, and yet her dedication to her cause was relentless.
At her funeral service in Yarmouth, and I got up and said, I have spent maybe less than 24 hours altogether, a total of 24 hours over 3 years in Hanley's company. And I came away with the feeling that I was not her best friend, but her second best friend. And everybody in the room nodded, and that's the way she was. It was not put on, that's the way she was. When she was
absolutely genuine.
She was, you were her friend, and it was
special.
Just extraordinary.
We went down together for a week as a support team, and it changed our lives. Both of my life and my son's life, we have never, in a good way, been quite the same. So we look at life differently now. We see the world as a much broader spectrum than we ever did before.
I couldn't really believe it. Like, once we were driving there, I was like, oh, I've seen pictures and heard a lot about it, but then actually seeing it for myself and hearing more about it was kind of breathtaking. Like, wow, this is people's reality, this is what they do.
The poor, you know, how poor it was, and how what they did, what we would take for granted normally and what they don't have was quite eye-opening.
The thing that really struck me about the garbage dump, and knowing that there's dear people down there, and then you get to know some of them personally, and that they go in there with their bare hands, with like no gloves or anything, because they have to feel what it is that they are collecting. How is that possible that, you know, any human beings can be put into that kind of a situation in their lifetime, and yet still have, the children are filled with joy?
I was the first time, and I continue to be so impressed at the parents who want better for their children and are willing to work for it even though they don't have anything to work with. It was very clear to me that those parents would do anything so that their children could have a better life.
When you look at deep poverty, what the face of deep poverty really looks like, it puts a spin on the privilege that I have in my life and not taking that for granted, and at the same time using that privilege in a way that can make a difference in somebody else's life.
The thing that has always been very impressive to me is this really is your sponsored child. It's not similar model is available. I mean, it is this child, and you know this child. And that, for me, was very, very important.
My hope and my dream for them, you know, we want to go do good, absolutely, and I want them to find like another child that we can sponsor as a youth group. But besides that, for them, I want it to be life-changing. I want them to see that there are other people in the world that are more needy than them and that truly need them.
Hanley and Safe Passage changed my life, literally. I found a call in the work that I did as a youth director that shifted as a result of my connection to Safe Passage. And even though I'm no longer a youth director, it informs the work that I do now. And that first experience was so impactful. And we now have connection with 2 boys and their family in Guatemala, so it's important to me and my family to keep those connections strong.
I met this little girl in the preschool. Her name was Lindsay as well. I came home and my dad's friend had been interested in doing some type of sponsorship and donating to a nonprofit, and so we kind of got in this great partnership where he was like, you can do all the communicating and you're up front, but I'll just, you know, do the financial aspect of it. And it has just been incredible.
But I think of Hanley and I think, well, what Hanley do? You know, I need to do this or do that or hang in there or change my attitude or whatever when I think of Hanley. So she has a profound effect on people, had a profound effect, and still does.
And now we've been back for about a year. You know, you get back into the everyday hustle and bustle, and life gets in the way.
But still trying to be involved, you know, with this Safe Passage friends, and being able to, even though we're not down there right now, you know, participating in the fundraisers and the planning of the 5K and those kinds of things, so we can still be connected.
I think the fact that we know the children, and now the adults who were children, and have a relationship with them is what's critical.
It's an opportunity to make a little change in the world, and it's a tough world these days. So I don't see myself moving mountains like Hanley, but gosh darn it, I made change for one kid. Yeah, so and I hope to send that message out through my kids and their kids. You know, that's my goal. So.